All right, so ladies and gentlemen, Christopher James,
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I just want to say thank you to Glenn Kelly for having me here tonight and having so much faith in me and giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you guys about something that everybody hates. And you know, the stereotype and behind cold calling is, I'm a telemarketer, and I'm nervous on the phone, and rejection, and I'm going to give you a lot of tips and ways to turn it around to kind of make it fun, just like it was for me. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Movement Mortgage Company that I currently work for now. They started in 2008 with 4 employees, and now today, 2016, we have over 4,000 employees countrywide. We're the 7th largest lender in the entire country, closing close to about $1 billion a month. 90% of that is purchase business. The 2 owners are Casey Crawford and Toby Harris. Toby Harris is a devout Christian pastor. Casey Crawford actually is a Super Bowl winning tight end. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2002 when they won the Super Bowl. He is also a very big Christian and on his way to becoming a pastor. We do a lot of ministry work, a lot of missions around the world. We just launched our commercial rice farm in Uganda, which has over 300 employees right now. My boss just came back from Guatemala, where they have their 5th church going. And then in North Carolina, they are opening, I believe this month, a charter school, a whole charter school, completely supervised and managed by Movement Mortgage that we built with our own funds. That's going to house, I think, 1,200 children a year that are going to, hopefully, poorer children in poorer neighborhoods are going to have a great education that they wouldn't normally be able to get at the public school. But moving on, I have been a loan officer for 13 years. I started actually here in Beechwood. My first job was at Blackbeard's Cave, and then I worked at Carl's Fencing, and then I got tired of getting laid off. And interestingly enough, the how I got into mortgages was cold calling. It was a small ad in a paper that just said cold calling, call this number, hourly pay. And it was November, it was cold. I knew I was about to get laid off from Carl's Fencing, which had happened pretty much every year. So I called the ad, and it's funny, the guy over the phone, he was actually one of the principals of the company, his name was Jason. And I knew nothing about the industry. It was in the first 5 minutes of the phone call how he just spoke to me, he pitched me what it was, and instantly I was hooked. And when I went on the interview, he said, well, why did you come on the interview? He goes, I didn't really tell you anything about the job, I didn't tell you how much money you were going to get paid, and you didn't really know anything about it. And I said, I don't know, it's just the phone call, and how I interacted with you. And he said, exactly. That's what I'm going to show you how to do to make money. So inadvertently, he cold called me to get me to work for him, and that's how I wound up becoming a cold caller. So as I got hired, all the guys that taught me everything I knew were sharks from the stock market that basically were done with the stock market. They'd either gotten kicked off, their licenses had gotten suspended, I don't know, but the mortgages was the next thing that they chose to do. And in my company, in my contract, it was mandatory how many dials I had to make a day in order for me to stay employed there, and it was 400 calls a day, every day, and it was from 8 o'clock in the morning until 7:30 at night. Half an hour for lunch, but the lunch was at my desk. And we had little index cards with a name, a phone number, what we were hoping was an interest rate, no computer on our desk, just all the coffee you could drink though. So I would drink about 3 or 4 cups of black coffee a day as soon as I came in, and then I would hit the phones for hours and hours and hours and hours and just cold call for refinances and purchases, and I would get anywhere from 8 to 10 applications a day. And it was great, it was fun, but they taught us the ways to manipulate phone call, to extract the information the right way, and to be confident over the phone, which hopefully at the end of tonight, I will have given you guys some pointers and some tips to do that. And I just recently had cold called for Judy. She had sent me some were those for sale by owners or were those expires? So those were expires. And again, I have a lot of experience over the years cold calling mortgage leads. I've just now jumped into helping agents that have helped me out, giving me a lot of referrals and calling their leads for them. So what I've learned is, expireds are very tough, and for sale by owners are a little bit tougher. So you guys have to understand that you're going to have to call more of them to see a result. Now, the easiest way to find your results is to track everything that you're doing. And you have to set a firm schedule of when you're going to call. And I had just met with this nice gentleman over, Chuck, right? Exactly, Chuck. So I met with Chuck and I had a nice discussion with him for about an hour about a lot of the things that I was going to go into, tonight. And a lot of people get discouraged by cold calling because they think, oh, I have 10 leads, I have 15 leads. They'll call 15 leads half-assed, with no pitch, no discipline, no real, direction of how to make the call. And then after 15 calls, they think, oh, well, I didn't get a sale, this doesn't work, I'm done, I don't want to call anymore. And it's the complete opposite. Sometimes you have to call 100 calls before you reach that one person that's actually going to listen to you. And it might be because it's the right time. A lot of it has to do with luck, and it's a lot of it's a numbers game. So if you guys go to the second page in the folder that I've provided, it should be, do you want one of these, honey?
Yes, please.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
It has tips for cold calling success. It should be on the left-hand side of the page. Did you get one, Holly? Now you took the pizza, but you didn't get one of my folders.
You
Right?
want the pizza, right? You want the folder.
So tips for cold calling success. And again, I put together what I think are probably the 10 or 12 best tips, but as you guys, hopefully you'll take the next jump into really getting disciplined with cold calling, because I assure you, this year, if you become disciplined with it, especially a lot of the newer people, if you're new to real estate and you have less than a year of experience in real estate, I can tell you that cold calling is going to sharpen your skills better than anything else, any networking seminar, any type of book you could read. Cold calling provides you with the fastest way to get your game down. And I've provided some scripts, which we'll get into later, but the more calls you make, the more people you speak to, the more rejection, the more you're going to learn how to get around the rejection. So, and it's not face to face. When you're going face to face with somebody, you have that one shot. And if you stumble and you fall or you say something wrong, they know you're face to face. Over the phone, you can make a million mistakes. They really don't know who you are. They don't know you by face. You're kind of just called out of the blue. So it's kind of like your training ground. It is cold calling to work out a lot of your kinks for when you are out in the real world and you're talking to somebody, or Glenn provides you with a really good lead, through Glenn Kelly or through Facebook, and says, here, I'm going to give this to Sally. Sally, go knock out this listing appointment. But if you haven't really had much experience in talking to people, you're probably going to fumble, or when they throw you a rejection and you don't have the right rebuttal, you're going to be sitting there face to face sweating. And now you're going to be backtracking, and it's going to be you're fighting an uphill battle. That's what I always tell people. Cold calling is kind of twofold. It gives you a lot of good training, but it also can provide you with money in sales. And for people that say it doesn't work, I assure you, next time anybody who wants, I'll email you my W-2s for the past 10 years. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of cold calling. So whoever says it doesn't work, they're not doing it enough, and they're beating themselves up because they don't have any structure. So let's look at the first one, because this is I need this one, number one, because this is what people just don't understand. Expect rejection. Okay, you're calling somebody out of the blue, and immediately you don't know what mood they could be in. They could have just lost their job. Their daughter could have just gotten arrested. So you don't know what mood people are going to be in when you call. So don't expect every call to be a pleasant phone call, no matter how you are projecting yourself over the phone. Expect rejection. It's 99% rejection. You're looking for the 1% reception. Now again, some people will get lucky. You'll make 5 calls and you'll get that person that says, oh, you know what, Sally, wow, I'm really happy you called. I've been meaning to talk to somebody. I know my house has been expired. I really don't want to listen with the person I listened with before. I'm not, I didn't feel comfortable with them. What do you have to offer? And then I have, the next sheet, which we'll go into, some tips about Glenn Kelly, which I'm sure you all know, but when you have it in front of you and you have kind of like a guide when you're on the phone with people and you have something to reference to, it's not always coming off the top of your head, so it kind of, you can kind of flow a little bit better. Now, be patient. It's a numbers game. Cold calling is a numbers game. Sometimes you have to make hundreds of phone calls in order for you to get to the goal of the sale. I'm sorry, Camille, am I too loud for you? I speak very, very, very loud, and that's one of the reasons why I do very well over the phone, because I speak clearly and loud over the phone. And that's, another thing that I'm going to get into is, when person answers the phone, you don't want to be meek. Hi, can I speak to... Hi, Judy? Judy, Chris Davis. I'm calling Glen Kelly Real Estate. How are you doing? Great. Listen, I'm calling in reference to, the expired listing, but we'll get into that when I make some calls. You guys will know how I do it real time with some of the leads that Glen's provided. Number 2, set enough time aside each day without interruption. Cold calling it's a job. You have to take it serious. So when you're sitting in front of the computer or you're sitting at a desk, the less distraction you have, the better. So if you have your cell phone, if you're using your cell phone, okay, then great. But if you're using an office phone, put your cell phone somewhere else. Don't get on Facebook. If somebody's texting you, ignore it. Don't be on the computer looking at Yahoo or Amazon. You have to set time aside. What I would say is if Glenn would allow it when the basement is done and there's enough phones, 2 hours a day. Either an hour in the morning or the best times to call are from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock every day. Those are the best times to call, and if you could do 2 to 3 hours a day, even 3 days a week, I assure you, cold calling will get much, much, much easier, and you will start to get sales much, much, much faster the more disciplined you are with it. You can't cold call 1 day a week for half an hour, call 15 leads, and then expect to get sales. And you can't also say to yourself, you know what, cold calling doesn't work if you haven't given it a fair shot. It takes time. You have to develop your game. You have to develop what you feel comfortable saying over the phone. I have scripts right there, but those might not be the scripts that you feel comfortable saying in your own words. So I'm giving you like a little bit of a platform for you to kind of break the ice, but please, mark them up, change it around, use what you feel comfortable. I always tell people the more fluid you sound over the phone, the easier it's going to be for that person to respond to you. And it's about saying the same thing over and over and over again. To this day for mortgages, I have this same exact pitch, which Sally got to hear. It's the same exact pitch that I use every single time that I've used for 13 years. And it sounds so true and so fluid that it works for me. And it's very quick, it's very simple. It's not complicated, I'm not beating around the bush. I get right to the point. But I'll show you guys that too. Now be ready to take notes during the call. The reason it's so important to take notes during the call is because you might not get to where you want to be in the call. It's all of a sudden somebody could beep in, somebody could ring the doorbell. It happens. People have to go. Even sometimes you have the best conversation, you can be talking to them for 20 minutes, all of a sudden something happens and they have to get off the phone. So take notes while you're talking to them. Do they have kids? Do they have dogs in the background? Anything. Oh, are you working? Oh, where do you currently work? Try to find some way to break the ice so that you can take notes so that if you do have to do a follow-up phone call, you have something that you know about them personally that you can kind of squeak in there before you kind of jump right back into your sale. The more friendly you are and the more personal information you have about somebody, and the more you make the call about that and lead it away from the sale, the easier it's going to be for you to get the sale, because they're going to feel comfortable with you. They're going to think, wow, she remembered, I had a hard day at work. She remembered my husband was sick and now she's asking how he's feeling. She knew I had to run out to soccer because I had 2 kids, screaming in the background because we were late. These are all things that will separate you from somebody else that calls and just says, hi, this is a sales call, I'm calling from AT&T, you have to separate yourself. You want to make it sound like it's not a sales call. That's the biggest thing. You're calling somebody, talk to them how you would want to be talked to. So when you're calling somebody, what would you want to hear in order to talk to somebody and stay on the phone with them? Now, number 3, don't overtalk a potential caller. This happens a lot in the beginning, and it's okay. You're trying to get through your script. You're kind of just rushing through it. Maybe they're trying to ask you a question in between, but you're so nervous because they're actually listening to you that you'll just overtalk them and you'll just keep going with your script. Don't be afraid to pause after, and in the script you'll see there are some pauses at certain times that you should take, and a breather. Don't be afraid to let them ask you a question because you're on a roll. If they throw you a question, remember where you're at in the call, address their question as best as you can, and go right back to where you left off in the call, wherever you were at with the script at whatever point. And there's 3 parts of the script that I'm going to go over. It's okay. Everybody gets nervous and they lose the call because the person on the other end threw him a curveball and asked him a question, and now you're completely thrown off and you're so nervous. You're like, just pause. And if it's a question you don't know, don't let them know that you just have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. Just say, you know what? That's a very good question. You know what? I haven't been asked that yet. I'm going to write that down and I'm going to try to get back to you as soon as I get the correct answer. and just go right back into your script. So number 3, or number 4, I should say, make the call pleasant instead of sounding like a sales call. Again, make it pleasant, don't make it sound like it's just a sales call. This is why you can't just jump right into, I want to list your house. Try to break the ice a little bit. See if there's some sort of common ground. I have kids, you have kids, do you like football, do you like basketball? It's really not that hard to get it out of people once you're comfortable on the phone. I do it very well. I sneak it out. You're a Giants fan? We all know the Giants just lost this weekend. If you're calling a man anywhere from the ages of 25 to 40 in, I'd say from Beechwood up northern Jersey, he's probably going to be a Giants fan or a Yankees fan or a New Jersey Devils fan or some type of sports. It's the best way to break in with a guy on the phone. Woman, who knows? What did you see Beyonce in the Golden Globes? Did you see the Meryl Streep interview, on the Golden Globes? That was crazy. Most women from the ages of 25 to 40 or 50 or up were watching the Golden Globes, saw Meryl Streep, had probably posted the little heart thing on Facebook. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure it has something to do with her and her speech that she gave. But you have to find some way to break ground to lead away from the sales call. They already know you're calling. They already know ultimately what you're asking for. So what's going to separate you from the next person is by making it sound like you don't really care about the sale. You just got to call and break the ice. Ultimately, in the end, listen, I would like the opportunity to come on and interview for the listing and see if it's a good match with Wayne Kelly. The more pleasant you make the phone call, the more receptive they're going to be to you, to letting them, a stranger in their house. You have to think, they have no idea who you are. You're calling them out of the blue. From a piece of paper, where did you get the lead from? Oh, the MLS listing. They don't know what that really is. And now you're asking to come to my house. If you don't approach the phone call the right way and break that barrier of being uncomfortable with a stranger, you're not going to get in there. So it'll take a lot of calls for you to kind of figure that out, and again, you'll have to probably make the script something that you're comfortable saying without actually looking at it and just saying it over and over and over again. And again, guys, it's just a numbers game. Now set goals for how many calls you can make each week, which is the next talking point. It's very important. Cold calling is a numbers game, and again, I wish I could tell you how many calls it's going to take for you to get a deal. I don't know. I would have to listen to every single person in this room, probably 30 or 40 phone calls where they actually got somebody on the phone. I'd have to listen to exactly what you were saying, and then I'd probably have to retrain you a little bit to kind of tighten you up, which I'm absolutely willing to do for everybody. Either we could do it here or my office in Toms River, one-on-one training, whatever you would like. But you have to set a realistic goal to say, okay, 2 days a week, I can make 100 calls. And I'm probably gonna guess from what I cold called for Judy, how difficult those expireds were. I mean, they were $1 million listings, so that's a whole nother category of people than just a normal $250,000 sale. But try to do, every time you call, try to do 100 calls. I know that sounds crazy. That sounds insane. How can I make 100 calls in one day? It's really not that difficult. And I'll show you why it's really not that difficult. You don't leave messages and some other things. You let the phone dial only a certain amount of times and then you hang up. But if you can't devote enough time consistently every week to cold calling, then it's probably not going to work. It's just like anything else, just like the social media. If you like one post a week, you're not really contributing to what the movement is. It's about consistency over and over and over again. You have to like every comment. You have to like every post. You have to share every post. That's how you're going to get people to notice you. It's the same exact thing with cold calling. It's consistency is key. Consistency is, this key to anything in life. And if you do it, anything you want to do to make money. I'm sorry. Now set goals. Now stay consistent with each call with the same script. This is so important. You don't want to change the script up too many times. You want to say the same exact thing over and over and over again with the opening, with the introduction, and then the close. Always want to have the same exact thing. Always. I say the same exact thing every time somebody answers the phone. I have the same style, I have the same opening, and I have the same close. And it sounds, because I've said it so many times over the phone, thousands and thousands and thousands of times, it's like off the top of my head. It does not sound like I'm calling off of a script. That's a big thing. You don't want to sound like you're calling off of the script. If you sound like you're calling off of the script, immediately they can feel that energy and it's like, oh, this is a sales call. Where are we going? All right, I just want this to be over. But if it just flows out quickly, and it doesn't sound like a sales call, they might not know. They might be like, oh, you know what, I'm kind of interested to hear what she has to say. Keep going. Because it sounds fluid and it sounds confident and it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time, so they'll take you more seriously. The next one, is make the script fit you. So I have these 3 templates which we'll go over, but again, that's not necessarily what you should do. I just came up with something like a blueprint that you can change, edit, and kind of make your own. I don't know what's gonna work for Sally. I don't know what's gonna work for Judy, and I don't know what's gonna work for Taylor. But after a couple of calls working off of these, take notes in what people said to you, like what they didn't like to hear or why they kind of got off the phone a little bit fast, like what you thought maybe was the cause of it. And then rewrite your own script after so many times that you would feel comfortable saying, but without looking at it. The scripts are designed for you to have kind of like a little boost, but ultimately, I had a script, I think, for the first 2 days, and then they took it away. And that was it. That was how they did it. You had a script we had a script for purchase, and we had a script for refinance. And they said, you get this for 24 hours when you're in training, you have to memorize it, and then they took it away. And that was it. And we memorized it, because you didn't want to look like an idiot, because we were on a sales floor with everybody, and all eyes were on us because we were the new guys. So we had to memorize the script in the first day, and we just made hundreds of calls doing it. So once you get a flow for cold calling and you get over the fear of picking up the phone and you get over the fear of rejection, and then you also get over kind of this isn't working, I don't know, this isn't for me. It is for you, it's for everybody. You just have to be patient, and you have to have a little bit of confidence in yourself, and you just have to be persistent. Persistency is key. If you guys can all do this, I don't know if it's possible, but like I said before, 2 hours a day, 3 days a week, 100 calls in that 2 hours, I assure you, it might not happen the first week, it might happen the second week, but by going into week 3, 4, 5, if you keep doing it, you're going to start getting a huge list of contacts that people that you have talked to, told you to call back. You're gonna start getting listing appointments, you're gonna start getting deals off of it. Again, the first call might not be a home run. You might have to call that person back 3 or 4 times. That is normal. You might have to call them back 5 times. Then you might say, well, is this the best number to call you on? Can I get your cell phone number? That's another way. Because if you're calling the house line, they might be calling the house line, they may never be there, but you get them on the phone and say, listen, I don't know, maybe this might not be the best number to reach on. Do you have a cell? Now you have their cell phone number, so now you can either text them or call them on their cell. And again, the average lead, they say, takes 8 calls. So I don't know, again, that's a mortgage lead, so I don't know about a FSBO or an expired. I'm gonna have to cold call these a lot and really sharpen my game on them so I could get like a real average. So next time I come in, I could do a real seminar and say, okay, here's my average, here's what I did for 2 hours a day, and here's about how many calls it will take per lead, and I'll do that for you, so it'll be a little bit more solid. And I have a fun way for you guys to track it, and it's very, very, very easy, but you have to commit the time. I did a 90-day, a 30-day, and a 60-day back in my day, and it works. It works. Little tally marks, but I'll show you that in a second. Don't backtrack when you make a mistake. This is a big thing that a lot of people do when they're kind of getting comfortable with the script, when they're getting comfortable on the phone. You're gonna make mistakes. It's going to happen. You're going to say a word wrong. You're going to fumble a little bit. You might draw a blank. You might get nervous and you might just draw a blank. It's okay. Nobody knows. You're over the phone. They're not gonna come through the phone and attack you. I've made thousands of mistakes over the phone. I've accidentally daydreamed on the phone and said stupid things. It happens. The more calls you make, sometimes you forget where you're at. You're looking at your phone or something, and then all of a sudden you'll be looking at something on Facebook, and it will come out over the phone while you're on there like, what? What's that? Oh, nothing, I'm sorry. And then you just kind of keep moving on. That's why it's very important just to stay focused, and stick to the script, try to block out as much as you can in the time frame while you're calling. But again, they don't know you make a mistake. If you do make a mistake and you realize it, don't pause. A lot of people go with the you know what, hold on 1 second. Don't do that. If you know you made it, and again, it will take practice for you to just roll past the mistake. Just keep going with the call. They don't know you made a mistake, just keep flowing, keep going. again, it'll take time for you guys to feel comfortable on the phone, and this is why the more calls you make, the better it will be. You'll work out the kinks the more calls that you make. Now the second part is have fun. You're gonna speak to a lot of very interesting people the more dials you make. I've been cursed out. I've had racial slurs thrown at me. I've had women flirt with me. It's just the craziest scenarios you will get. I've had people drunk on the phone, high on the phone, elderly people that, don't understand why I'm calling. They think I'm one of their children. It's a good time, and you'll meet a lot of funny people over the phone, and, just have fun with it. It's not really as bad as it seems. Everybody wants the easy way. Everybody, social media, that's the way to go. Social media is just as hard, if not harder, to get business as opposed to cold calling. And I say that because cold calling, not a lot of people are doing it. You would be surprised. You could go around to a lot. I work in about 20 different real estate offices with a lot of agents. I assure you, I bring pizzas to them, nobody is cold calling the leads in their office, and it drives their brokers absolutely nuts. It's the one thing that they will keep quiet. They will not voice it because, you can't really force somebody to cold call because you guys are on straight commission. But a lot of brokerage firms do not provide leads for that reason, because nobody calls them. Everybody wants leads. Everybody's hungry for leads in the beginning. I have no business. Give me leads, give me leads, give me leads. Leads cost a lot of money. I run lead campaigns right now, and they're very, very, very pricey. And my branch manager doesn't want to do it anymore, but I get business off of them, so he breaks even or we make money. But Glenn, I know from when we met, he kind of filled me in on what he does and what he spends, and I could only imagine you want guys on the phones maximizing that. It's very, very, very pricey, and when people don't call the leads, somebody else ultimately is going to wind up calling them, whether it's you or somebody else. So again, I'm not trying to tell you that cold calling is all you need to do, but if you don't have any business going on right now, if you have no deals, here's how it went for us. We had to call, instead of me being a cold caller, when they promoted me to loan officer, I still had to cold call, even though the other cold callers fed us. But the rule was, until you had 10 active loans in your pipeline, I still had to make 400 calls a day. So that was the deal. Glenn obviously is, not that strict. Back in the day, you didn't have a choice, otherwise you would just get fired. So if I didn't have 10 deals in my pipeline, I was always on the phone. And that's the way that you guys should look at it. If you don't have 2 or 3 deals going on, or even 5 deals going on, and Glenn has all these leads for you to call, get in here, call them. Get in here, come in, call as much as you can. It's not going to hurt. If you don't have any business going on, this is the fastest way for you to probably generate business. It's getting on the phone, calling the leads. I don't know if he has buyer leads or just the FSBOs and expireds, but it's call as much as you possibly can. And Glenn seems like he would let any of you guys come in as much as you want and try whatever you need to get more business. You're late. No pizza for you. No, I'm kidding. Now the next point here is study the lead before you call it. Now this is really, really, really big. I have a couple leads right here, and especially in the beginning when you're a new cold caller or just new to cold calling, a lot of times you'll just dial the number and not look at the lead prior to the phone dialing. What if they have a really, really, really difficult name? And all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, they have a really hard name. And then they pick up the phone and you're like, hi, Mr. If you mess up their name, the call is dead. You might as well just hang up. It's the worst. One thing about that too is whenever you're calling, don't go by the last name. I never go by the last name. So like this one right here, it's Juan Pastrana. So when I'm calling, if a guy picks up the phone, hi, Juan. Juan, this is Christopher Davis with Gun & Kelly Real Estate. How are you doing this evening? Once you try to go by their last name, it's almost like now they're in control. You want to stay in control of the conversation. When you're on a first name basis, it's kind of like you're taking away that power from them where they can say, oh, no, I'm not interested. Study the lead. So in this case, this is a for sale by owner. Now, why is it a for sale by owner? What are they asking for? Try to maybe look up the price of the house and see if it's, this one says $600,000 in Manahawkin. I find that hard to believe, but maybe it's on the water, it's a very big brand new house, but try to find out, get a little bit of information about it, if you can, especially on these, before you call, so you have some bullets to fire at this guy if he's like, well, I don't want to list, well, why? Because if you know the house is only worth $550 and he's asking $600, that's probably why he's not listing with the real estate agent, because whoever he's talked to will not list it for what he wants. And a lot of times, that's why, what I've seen, why they go, for sale by owner, because their home, they want some ridiculous amount of money for their house, and every realtor's tried to get them to come down or tell them, hey, your house isn't worth this, and they're just not listening. But again, I'm not a realtor, so you guys, can kind of come up with your own game plan, but studying the lead is very, very, very important. Expires are very easy. There's a lot of ammunition for you to make phone calls on expires. You see the days on the market, you see who the agent was, who the brokerage firm was, when it was withdrawn. So, on these, again, nobody, not to talk bad about anybody else, but if a home sat on the market in this market, there's a reason why. The agent probably didn't market the house, maybe they didn't market it the right way, or maybe the seller wasn't open to doing open houses. That's what you have to figure out on expires during that phone call, is what happened. Why did it expire? From what calling Judy's, hers, it's a little bit different. That's why I wish me and you had met up, because I know you have some normal ones, normal price ranges. The ones in the $1 million range, which everybody wants that, that home run. The $1 million listings, from what I had gathered, is it's a tough market, and there's not a lot of $1 million buyers out there. So their agents necessarily didn't do a bad job. It's just they're in a niche market that takes a little bit longer for them to find somebody that can buy in that price range. But for the most part, for $225,000, that's a very, very, very popular range for. Well, that's actually a great price for a Manalapan. $225,000. This is from today, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So Jennifer Kunn from Keller Williams has a listing for $225,000 in Manalapan. So that's a very good price for a 4-bedroom, I guess 1.5 bath. So there's a reason that probably didn't sell. Manalapan is a super hot market. $225,000 is a phenomenal price range. What you might want to do with something like this is go on to Zillow, plug in this address so you can see the pictures. So when you're calling, now you can say, wow, I don't understand why this house sat on the market for, this was only on the market for 1 day?
Yeah, those are all current for today.
Oh, these are all details for listing. I thought these were expired, you said.
I gave you FSBO and expired. One package FSBO, one package.
So where is the expired on here? Active date? This says days on market 1.
Oh, you know what? This one actually active. See that? If you see anything
that says active,
then someone else already.
1917.
So this one will cross out. We'll cross that out.
So he jammed me up here.
Cut that right out of that.
Let me find another one. Okay, here we go. How about this one? Withdrawn. So withdrawn is what we want. Okay, gotcha. All right, so this property here is in Bordentown, another very, very popular area. The house is $139,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath for $139,000 in Bordentown. Antoinette Pagano, who I actually know her, this has been withdrawn. It was on the market for 137 days. Now, the whole point of you calling it, and kind of, you want to draw those things out and find out why it sat on the market. It's a very hot market. Have the house up on Zillow, so if the house is in really good shape, you can kind of say, wow, the house is in phenomenal shape. It looks like you have an updated kitchen. Get them to start saying yes. The more you break down the barriers of, I don't really want to talk to you, I know my house is expired, what? I don't want to relist it. But if you kind of say, oh, your house is beautiful, did you redo the kitchen? That looks new. Yes. I did, actually. Wow, was that one of the the focus points of when she did an open house? You kind of want to throw things out there to see what they did or did not do. Well, you know what? She didn't really do any open houses. She was too busy to do an open house, but I wanted her to do an open house. Now you know something that she wanted you to do, wanted her original realtor to do that she didn't do. Because this is a very hot market. Anywhere in New Jersey is a very, very, very good market. So unless it's an extremely unrealistic seller, which obviously we've all had those, or you guys have all had those, and I've had to deal with them on the other end of my clients trying to purchase the home, there's a reason why it sat on the market. That's what you have to figure out in that call is, well, why did it sit on the market? What was the reason? Was it, were there any offers on the property? Was it because the home is, I'm going to guess this one in Bordentown might be like a foreclosure or something. approximately living addition, formal living room, hardwood floors. I don't know, that seems like a very good price for, for this property, for Bordentown. That's kind of a well-off area from what I know. But you gotta find something to kind of bring that person out of their shell a little bit, because they could have just had a horrible experience with whoever listed their home. These people could be underwater, or they could have had another home that they were looking to buy that they lost because this home didn't sell. Interest rates are up now, so now they might not be able to purchase the home that they wanted to buy now because this home didn't sell. There's a lot of different variables that you need to kind of, get out of them, in that phone call, which is a good thing. That's what you want to do. Again, you want to take notes, find out as much about them as you can in, during that phone call, and then kind of go into your pitch and ask for the sale once you kind of have, what that other realtor did wrong. Because again, you don't want to just say, well, what did Antoinette Pagano do wrong? Did she suck? You want to say, you want to drag it out slowly. Well, what happened? Were the open houses, was there a lot of traffic during the open houses? That's a good line that I would use. Was there a lot of traffic during the open houses? She didn't do any open houses, or no, there wasn't any traffic. Well, did she market it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? I don't know, she never talked to me about any of those things. So now you have a couple of negatives where you could come in with everything that Glenn Kelly has to offer and say, well, here's what's going to happen, if we meet and you decide to work with me. The open houses are going to get a lot of traction because we have a huge presence on social media, and we're connected to over 40 agents that are all working together to help you sell your home. So those are all little things that, you guys are going to need to kind of tighten your game up with, and, hopefully, you'll understand, and I'll make a couple of calls, and hopefully I can get somebody on the phone and maybe get a deal. Maybe tonight will be my lucky night, and I'll get Sally, who I'm going to call for tonight, maybe try to get her a deal. So I'm going to be Sally's assistant, just like on Sunday when I was calling, I was Judy's assistant. And one guy actually took your number down and he was going to look you up. Did he call you?
No.
No? Okay, I'll follow. The one that I text you.
Yes.
I'll follow up with him again. Was that it? Now set the right expectation. Now here's a big thing when people are cold calling, when they get somebody interested and they are actually, winning them over and the call is going good, you start promising all kinds of crazy stuff. I've done it before, way back in the day. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to sell your house. 30 days, your house will be sold. Don't do that. Set the expectations. Under promise and over deliver. And it'll be hard to do that when you get somebody that's excited and willing to work with you, because you're just going to kind of want to yes them to death because you have, a fish on the hook. I assure you, it won't be worth it. It will most likely come back to bite you in the ass later if you promise something and it doesn't happen. It's happened to me. Every now and again I get caught up in the mortgages. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I can definitely get this done. But I didn't run the credit yet, and all of a sudden then I see the credit report and there's bankruptcy, and then, I have egg on my face when I have to call them back and say, no, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, so goodbye. Click. And you don't want to be that person, and a lot of times, a lot of guys get excited because they just want that first sale and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get that first sale. Don't do that. It's not worth it. It'll come back to haunt you later on, and take it from somebody who knows it's happened, and it happens all the time. Now, if you switch to the next page, it's tips to tell clients about Glenn Kelly. This is really, really, really big, and I actually had this with me when I was calling Judy's leads that she had sent over to me, because I know Glenn Kelly is relatively new to the area and doesn't have a big presence in Monmouth County where all of her leads were. So I said to myself, a lot of the rebuttals I'm going to get were, who is Glenn Kelly? Which is what everybody said that picked up the phone was, Judy Sherwood, where is she from? They were very receptive to meeting with her, and then I said, she's from Glenn Kelly. And, well, who's Glenn Kelly? I've never heard of him. Where's he located? So it was kind of like, thank God I had these, because I would have looked crazy if I didn't have some tips in front of me. Now again, Glenn is a great guy. He's done, I don't even know a fraction of what he's done as far as charity work, benefits. I just kind of came up with these couple for myself that, really helped me get through some of the phone calls with people without looking like I didn't know anything about Glenn Kelly, like I was just kind of calling out of the blue, which I wouldn't want to do, because then it would make it harder for you guys to call that lead back and say, oh, who was that assistant guy you had call me? He knew nothing about the company. He didn't know where you guys are located. He didn't know anything about you. So I kind of, came up with this before I started calling. So You know, that's what you guys should definitely do too, because a lot of times you're going to get that. Well, who's Glenn Kelly? Well, who are you? How long have you been in the industry? And, you know, without coming across, you know, they're just asking a question, as rude as they may sound, and you'll get those people over the phone that are just rude. You know, they just want to give you a hard time. You know, don't fall into the trap and say, well, Glenn Kelly has over 40 agents. We're in Beechwood. We have 52 listings right now. And you know what? I've been doing real estate for 30 years. Because once you, and it will happen. You could be making 70 calls, and on the 70th call, you get somebody that just wants to, you know, mess with you a little bit. You know, they're just leading you on. They have no intentions of actually talking to you. They'll try to bring out the anger in you, and it can happen very easy. Just stay calm, cool, and collected, and say, listen, Glenn Kelly, you know, charity work is part of part of your sale or buy contributes to one of the many events we do each year that supports our community we serve. That's who Glenn Kelly is. You know, what's another one? We believe our clients are more like family when they work with us. Glenn Kelly has received national awards for serving the community. You know, these are the talking points that are really going to help you out when they say, well, and you'll see, you know, they worked with Gloria Nelson. A lot of the bigger leads in Monmouth County are Gloria Nelson, Sotheby's. Down here, it's Keller Williams. But you guys can definitely compete, because out of all of the real estate offices that I work in, Glenn, hands down, does more charity work and gives back to the community more than about 10 of the other brokers that I know combined. So that's a huge selling point, because a lot of people are going to ask you, who is Glenn Kelly? And I say, listen, you may have seen us on TV or over the internet. You know, but if you haven't, let me tell you a little bit about Glenn Kelly. You know, charity work, you know, part of your sale or buy contributes to one of our many events that we do each year that supports the community we serve. You know, that's big. People want to know that it's not just commission-driven advice. You're not just going to be that realtor that comes in and tries to just get their listing and then just put it on the MLS and hope that somebody just comes and likes it, because that's what a lot of realtors do. A lot of realtors do not go the extra mile. They don't have the Zillow, they don't have the Trulia, they don't have the money to pay for it. They plop it up on Zillow, and they put like one sign out. It's a dirty sign, and whoever drives by it, you know, will just kind of maybe hopefully stop in, and maybe they'll do an open house and get some traction. But Glenn has an incredible presence on social media, the biggest I've ever seen. And it's funny, it's like 10 minutes after he posts a story, it's like 1,000 likes already. And I'm just like, wow, you know, how is that possible? And those are the things that you want to express to people that say, well, who is Glenn Kelly? You know, again, this is just, everything that I'm giving you guys is just a template. You guys at least now have something to refer to. Feel free to redo every single one of these to kind of fit what you're gonna feel comfortable saying over the phone. But this is just a good template for you guys to have, something for you to refer to. I think the scripts that I have that I'm going to go over next are pretty good. You know, for first timers that wouldn't know how to write a script for themselves, you'll have something really good to kind of, you know, get you in the groove until you understand, you know, a little bit more about cold calling and you're comfortable on the phone, to where you can kind of alter what, you know, I wrote down and make it your own. But lastly, you know, the big thing is pushing the social media, like Glenn said. Clients want to feel, especially listing, you know, people that are listing bigger properties, they want to feel like they are being carried through the crowd by, you know, like people, they're just being, you know, pampered. That is the big thing, and social media is the #1 way that people are going to feel pampered. And most people are going to go online and they're going to check to see if you're actually doing what you're saying that you're going to do. I've had a couple of people that I've referred listings to, you know, and I try to be fair. Even newer realtors, I will throw them a bone and I will say, listen, here's a listing, you know, run with it. You know, it's a lay down. They're going to go with you because I told them to go with you. They have come into, they said I was going to get Zillow and Trulia and this and that. And then I say, yeah, no, absolutely. I told you all of those things too. Well, Chris, I went online, there was nothing. I didn't see anything. Well, they haven't done it yet. And then I'll call them and say, oh, well, you know, I haven't gotten around to it yet. You know, Chris had a bad month. You know, I didn't get paid. I'm not going to have the money to put it, you know, on Zillow. I'm falling behind. I'm like, well, could you at least just put it on Facebook? It takes 2 seconds to put it on Facebook. Yeah, no, definitely. People are checking to see if you're doing exactly what you're saying. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, cold call for hours, get a deal, and overpromise and underdeliver. People are checking to verify if you're actually doing what you're saying. If you say you're going to put it on Instagram, put it on Instagram. If you say you're putting it on Facebook, put it on Facebook. If it's going to be on Zillow and Trulia, put it on there, because they're definitely going to be checking, for sure. Now, lastly, that is it, actually. That is the end of my, so we'll go into the scripts now. So guys, I hope you got some good pointers here. And listen, I'm not trying to say cold calling should replace anything else that you should be doing, like networking and going out and going to events and, going to, charity events and meeting new people and building your, your pool of referral sources. But this is a really, really, really good way for you to sharpen your skills. It's another avenue for you to make money. And if you follow, kind of what I'm saying, it should work. It's worked for me for sure. Now, if you want to pull out your scripts, we'll start with the most difficult ones, which I think are the for sale by owners. Those people kind of don't want to hear anything, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not a realtor, I haven't had much contact with for sale by owners, but I know that they are very, very, very difficult. They feel how they feel. They could have had one or two or maybe three or more bad experiences with a real estate agency or with multiple real estate agencies. And now why should they use you? What are you gonna do differently? And this is where you have, if they're still on the phone with you, they're willing to hear you out, and there's probably a chance if you say the right thing, you will probably get the sale. And this is what Glenn was saying, is kind of what to say and what not to say. And the biggest thing that I can tell you is when people overpromise and underdeliver, which is what a lot of other realtors will do just to try to get the sale. They're called yes men. Anything that somebody will say to them, yes, 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 and then all of a sudden, okay, I go with you, and then now it was a bait and switch. You're not doing anything that you had said, and now they hate you like the other agents that they've worked with. And I've had people that I've referred to come back to me and say, Chris, that agent was horrible. Can you refer me to somebody else? And it happens often. I don't know how many of you have ever lost a client like that. I'm sure if you've been in the industry for more than a year or two, you've had a client walk away from you. If you've shown them 100 houses and they've gone to another realtor, it happens. I hate those phone calls, and they always want me to break the ice to the realtor and say, oh, well, they found another real estate agent. I hate to do that. So what I can tell you is just, be very calm, very cool, especially when you're cold calling. Don't go too far. So for this script, for sale by owner, when I call, I always look at the lead first. So this one, is this a for sale by owner? No, here's a physical right here. Let's see. What's this guy's name? Alfred Matos. So when I call, immediately, if it's a guy that answers, hi, Alfred. So always go by the first name. Well, first, if you call and nobody answers, don't leave a message. The biggest thing is, people think they should leave a message. I assure you, if you leave a message, you're definitely not getting a call back, and they're probably not going to answer the phone next time. If you leave a message, now they know why you're calling. A big thing now is calling, not leaving a message, and then sending a text message as a follow-up. I do that, and I have like a 95% recapture ratio. So when I get a mortgage lead in, I will call, they will not answer, I won't leave a message, and I'll send a text message. Hello, Alfredo, in the text message. That's it, with a question mark. 9 out of 10 times, they see that I called them, I didn't leave a message, but now I text them. So now it's like, oh my God, who is this? They know me by my first name, and they text message me. Who is that? Who could that possibly be? And they'll either call back, or they will shoot a text message back, and at least it's a way for you to kind of, other than just a call, if you see it's a cell phone, which most of the time, I don't know, are these a lot of cell phones? A lot of cell phones. So that's great. So if you don't get somebody on, and it goes to a voicemail, we all know what a cell phone voicemail sounds like, hang up, shoot out a text message, hello, Alfredo? That's it. They will want to know who you are, for sure. And they're going to text you back, or they're going to call you back, hi, who is this? Or they'll text you back, yes, who is this? Hi, this is Sally from Glen Kelly Real Estate. I'm actually calling because I had got some information that you're listing your home by yourself. But here's this pitch that I did. Hi, Alfredo. I'm calling from Glen Kelly Real Estate. You've probably seen us on the web or in the papers recently. Now, you always want to give a little bit of a brief pause in between things that you're saying. You don't want to go too fast or too slow. You don't want it to sound like one giant run-on sentence. So, hi, my name is Sally. I'm calling from Glen Kelly Real Estate. You've probably seen us on the web or in the papers recently. I'm calling today to discuss your listing. I see you're listing it yourself. If you don't mind me asking, what's the reason you chose not to list with a real estate agency? Brief pause. I can understand your frustration, because when you say, if you don't mind me asking why you didn't list with a real estate agency, they're probably going to give you some sort of an answer. What is it going to be? I don't know. You're gonna have to kind of, whatever they say, it's most likely going to be something frustrating or aggravating to them, I would have to imagine. So just, the most common response to whatever they say is, I can understand your frustration. Most likely you'll see that that's gonna probably be the most popular line. And to follow up, not all real estate companies are the same. So please don't think we're gonna make the same mistakes. Brief pause. Now you're into the middle. Now this is kind of where you're introducing Glenn Kelly a little bit. Okay, you're introducing Glenn Kelly. Glenn Kelly is a different kind of real estate agency. You're not getting one agent. We're a team of over 40 agents and growing that have one goal in mind, our client satisfaction and serving the community we live in. We will work together as one in order to help you reach your goals. This includes a broker owner, Mr. Glenn Kelly himself. That is big. When people hear that the owner of the company is going to be personally involved with the transaction and they can speak to Glenn, that is a huge positive and confidence. A lot of times realtors don't answer their phone. Things go bad, realtors don't answer their phone. When there's bad news or the deal is getting crazy, I've seen a lot of realtors that do not want to answer the client's phone. You get an annoying client that calls 100 times a day. You don't want to answer that phone call. They get aggravated. Now, if they know, hey, you know what? I have another outlet to reach out to, the owner himself, which I'm sure you aren't llooking forward to taking many of those calls, but for newer agents that aren't as seasoned to handle a person, that part of your pitch is going to be huge. Is you have access to the broker owner himself. He's going to be personally involved in the transaction from start to finish. That's very, very, very big. Because if the client asks you, said, well, how long have you been a realtor for? Oh, 4 months. That's tough. That's a very, very, very tough one to get around. So you want to, nail into their head, you're not just getting me, you're getting all of us, including Glenn Kelly. And you know what? I didn't put in here a lot of the things about Glenn Kelly, how long he's been a realtor, but those are things you're going to want to put over here to look at. Glenn Kelly's been a realtor for 20 years. He started at Century Crossroads?
Diane Turton.
Diane Turton, and then where else?
Then
Crossroads. Started Diane Turton, was a top producer at Diane Turton, then decided to move on to Crossroads. After too long, he decided to start his own brokerage to kind of mold his family the way that he wanted it to work. Philanthropy, you mentioned that. These are all things that are going to help you guys out over the phone when the people are going to say, who is Glenn Kelly? Every single person that I talk to asks that question, who is Glenn Kelly? And so I had my little tips about Glenn Kelly, but you guys know him better. You guys have been here a little bit longer. So don't be afraid to write on these, write little notes. What I would suggest everybody does is if you go to Staples, there's like these cardboard things. It's like a trifold, I believe it's called. You can staple these all on, and then in the middle you can write little notes, you can put little stickies on that are all gonna help you get through these calls a little bit faster. So now back to this. This includes Mr. Glenn Kelly himself. We pride ourselves on being the only agency that's truly providing a family-like experience when you're working with us. People like to hear that. People don't want commission-driven advice. Every person that's going to pick up the phone, all they're thinking about is how much money they're paying the real estate agency. That's another reason why people list themselves, and that's another reason why people don't relist, because real estate fees are very high. You guys make a ton of money on a deal. You make more than I do on a deal, that's for sure. And people realize that 6%, that's a lot of money. So you're really gonna have to win them over and kind of take yourself away from all of the stereotype of being a realtor and just trying to get that commission. Which, working together as a family, it's going to be all 40 agents. We're all going to be working together. You're going to be in front of millions of people on social media. If there's an issue, I can get you can speak directly to the broker owner. Those are all things you're going to want to hit home when you get that one person on the line that's going to test you. They're going to grill you. A lot of times, people that are interested, that are willing to give you the sale, they're not just going to lay down. Some will, but they're going to test you. Like I had the one gentleman that was actually showing interest in Judy was asking me a ton of questions. It was a 20-minute phone call. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I was 4 calls in. I was like, I got him. I was like, yeah. This is it. I'm going to call Judy right now, 3-way with this guy, and this is going to be $1 million listing. I was so pumped up, but he wound up having to run out of the house. I forget for what reason, and he said, listen, just give me her cell phone number, give me her email, and I'm going to do some due diligence. He's like, I interviewed 2, I'm going to interview 1 more. He's like, I'll give her a shot. So we definitely should probably follow up with him. I thought I had him, but I didn't, and sometimes that happens. Don't get too anxious. Don't be afraid to say, okay, well, If now's not a good time, when can I call you back? And those are some of the other things I'm going to show you guys, like how to take control of the phone call. Because if you let them tell you when you're going to call back, they're going to tell you a week or two from now, or after the holidays. That's a great one. I love that one. After the holidays. Well, why would you wait 2 months? Oh, I'm busy. You're that busy? There's only 3 days of the holiday. There's Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and Thanksgiving Day. What about all the weeks in between? What, are you doing something every day? No. So I'll show you how to kind of get around that. Now, and this is a big one, the third paragraph. This is your close right here. So if you can master the first two, the third one is going to be your close. And the close is the most important. This is where you're asking for the deal. Now, I don't want to take up too much of your time over the phone. I would like to interview with you for the opportunity to list your home with the Glenn Kelly team. Now, I'm not sure if you can exactly say that. I didn't ask Glenn about that, but you can always alter that if that's not what you're allowed to say. Now, I would like the opportunity to list your home with the Glenn Kelly team. I'm sure your schedule is busy, as is mine. I'm available to meet to see if Glenn Kelly is a good match for you. How about always suggest the day and the time? Because more often than not, people don't know what their schedule is, but if you say, okay, Friday at 5, does that work for you? No, Friday at 5, that probably works. Don't give them the opportunity to set your schedule. You take control of the call and suggest the day. And if they say no, listen, are you free to meet this day? Brief pause. And if they say yes, great. If not, when is the next available day you're able to meet? And then you give the next few days that you're available to meet. Well, okay, Friday at 5 doesn't work. I'll tell you what, how about Saturday at 11 or Monday at 12? Do either of those days work? If you suggest days, now they're going to get thinking in their head, okay, well, one of those days should probably work. Okay, let's shoot for Saturday at 11. That time should work. But if you say, well, what day works for you? They're not going to know. They're going to say either call me sometime next week or, let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you. That's basically you're done. You might as well just say, okay, I'm going to start over. I'm going to re-pitch you a whole next time. I'm going to act like we never even talked because they're just going to brush you off, and that's not what you want. You want to try to set the schedule yourself, stay in control of the conversation, set the appointment, and this is big. So you want to flow through the first two, and that's why it's important to either memorize this right here and make it your own, or write your own script that you're going to feel comfortable with. But the third part is the most important. You have to sound very, very, very confident on the close because that's your actual sale. That's if they agree and they say, yes, I'll meet you Friday at 5. Okay, great. Don't get too excited. Yippies, I'm crazy. Okay, fine, great. Listen, we're all set. I will see you Friday at 5. I'm going to send you a confirmation email with all of my information, so if you would like to look me or my company up, you're able to. But we're all done here, so I'll see you Friday at 5, okay? Have a good night. Goodbye. Bye. That's it. So now FSBOs are pretty tough. Expireds were a little bit easier. Glenn gave me some of those. Like I had told you, FSBOs, you have a lot of ammunition on the FSBO lead itself. So before you pick up the phone, look at the lead and highlight some of the things that you can kind of throw back at them when they're giving you resistance as to not wanting to relist it. This time of year, it's a weird time of year. It's January, and if you look at a lot of these expireds, they expired around November or just recently. So things that expire in November and December and January, most of the time people are going to probably wait until March, I would think, probably to relist. But these people are pretty good to kind of stay on top of them and just kind of get your name in their ear. Call them once a week. Call them once every other week. Bring them some news about Glenn Kelly. Bring them some news about what happened in the mortgage market. Kind of create a sense of urgency if you're not getting anywhere on the first or second call. Sometimes leads take a while to warm up to you. They take, they're going to see if you're going to keep calling back. They're going to see how persistent you are. And a lot of times people will say, wow, Chris, I went with you because you were so persistent. Because you called me 10 times. You called me on my cell phone. You emailed me. Every time I brushed you off, it didn't bother you. You kept calling me back. Sometimes you're going to get people like that, but those are the people that probably aren't going to shop you, and you've called them 5, 6, 7, 8 times. When they're all ready to list it, they're most likely going to remember you. They're going to have your information. They're going to remember, oh, you know what? Sally just called me 3 days ago. let me get back to her, or you know what, the next time she calls, we're just gonna go ahead and list it with her. Sometimes that happens around this time of year. Again, I'm not a realtor, so you guys are gonna have to figure out and kind of figure out that game plan, for yourself. But for me, being a cold caller, I could see how people would not probably want to relist their house in January through February and probably March. You're not gonna get much traction through the door, and nobody wants to move when it's like 12 degrees outside and snow. So now where are we at? All right, so the expired, it's very much the same exact script. I didn't really change it too much. Actually, the second and the third paragraph are basically exactly the same. You want to stay very, very, very consistent with all of your pitches, whether it's a buyer's lead, whether it's a FSBO, or whether it's an expired. You don't want to sound too off track with each one. You want to stay very consistent, very clear, and that's why I kind of really didn't change it. So, hello, John. My name is Sally. I'm calling from Glen Kelly Real Estate. You've probably seen us on the web or in the papers recently. I'm calling today to discuss your expired listing. I know you listed with whoever before, which that is on the lead. So the more you know, it's going to sound like you've done your research and you're confident in your call. You listened with Rematch previously, correct? And the reason you want to leave that correct in there is because studies have shown that the more yeses you get out of them, whether it's, do you have kids? Yes. Do you have a dog? Yes. Do you have a job? Yes. The more yeses you get throughout your pitch, the more likely they're going to say yes when you ask them for their, in my line of work, it's the date of birth and the social. So if I don't get a date of birth and the social at the end of my call, I'm like, great. I didn't do my job. That's a full application for me. So for you guys, you're gonna have to figure out the sweet spot, which is obviously either a listing appointment, the buyer coming down here, or an expire, or a FSBO saying, okay, I'll let you come out and interview, to list it. I really didn't want to, but you'll kind of have to figure that out. But the more yeses you start getting out of people early on in the conversation, the more receptive they're gonna be. And what? It's time for the close when you're asking for the sale. Previously, correct? If you don't mind me asking, what was the reason you chose not to relist with them when the contract expired? Now, a brief pause. Now, they might say because it was winter time, we didn't really have any traction, but even if you brief pause and they're kind of like, try to throw something out there to keep the conversation going in a positive direction. Oh, well, was it because, it was winter time? You don't assume, but kind of make it sound like you know what you're talking about, like you're a seasoned agent, and say, yeah, well, it was winter time, we weren't getting much traction. Yeah, I agree, definitely. Well, here's how we could probably get more traction through, our system at Glen Kelly. And then you go into, the second paragraph. Glen Kelly is a different kind of real estate agency. We're a team of over 40 agents. Again, keep everything uniform no matter which lead you are calling. Everything uniform. The more you say this, or again, you can make your own pitch based on what I've shown you to kind of like show you how a cold call should go. You can even Google it. If you Google it, you're going to see exactly what I've shown you here. It's usually an open, a middle, which is talking about the company itself, and then the close, which is your sale. That's how sales calls go. Pretty much any agency or anybody that does any type of cold calling, this is how their scripts work. So you can rewrite it, or you can kind of tweak this a little bit, but always keep it the same. The more times you say it, the more fluid it's going to sound, the more confident it's going to sound over the phone. And again, it's about building that confidence over the phone. If you're stumbling all over the place when you call, people are going to pick up on that. Which leads me to my next topic is stay consistent with the sound of your voice. Don't go, hi, this is Sally. I'm calling from Glen Kelly Real Estate. Hi, I'm just calling tonight. Stay very, very, very level. You don't want to throw people off with the flow of your call and the pitch of your voice. Sometimes, people, when they pick up the phone, your voice could immediately irritate them, depending on how you talk. And people will tell you that, they'll just try to go, people have said, my God, you're so loud over the phone. Quiet down a little bit. And, I've had to adjust the way that I talk over the phone. It's embarrassing, it happens, or some people might say, I can't understand you. You're talking too low. So you might have to talk up a little bit. So you always want to stay very streamlined throughout the call. Hi, my name is Christopher Davis. I'm calling Glen Kelly Real Estate. I'm calling tonight because I see that your listing has expired with Remax. Any particular reason why you chose not to relist with them or another agency? You just want to stay very streamlined throughout, the call. Again, it'll all take time. It'll all take practice. And that's pretty much going to conclude my pitches, and I'm sure some of you probably have questions before I try to embarrass myself on the phone in front of all of you. So does anybody have any questions?
This was an awesome presentation, I want to say, about something that is super important to our business. And one thing that I took away from Mr. Davis's speech here at tonight's seminar was he's willing to even meet with you and teach you some things. So learn about this. Even the people watching on the video, if you have someone who's actually looking to take an interest in your business, try to take an interest in his business as well. Work together and make money at the end of the year. That's what it's all about. But anyway, I just wanted to interject that. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Hi. You said to call from like 6 to 9 p.m.
Those are the peak hours to call.
But what days? Monday, Tuesday?
Monday, pretty much any day during the week. Weekends are very good too. I was shocked at how many people on a Sunday answered my phone from Judy's leads. But then I realized, it wasn't, I think it was maybe raining out that day, or it was the day after the snowstorm, so everybody was home. So if it's raining outside, those are great days to call on a weekend. Weekends from, I would say, 10 to 1 are great times to call, but the best time during the week is from 6 to 9. Morning, they say 9 to 11, but you're gonna get a lot of people that are gonna try to rush you off of the phone. 6 to 9, they're home. They've most likely already had dinner. They're willing to talk, they're relaxed. Probably have a drink in them, the day has unwinded. Those are the best times to call. And again, like Glenn had said, anybody who wants one-on-one, we can do that. Just grab a stack of leads. Don't come with 15, 20 leads. You gotta have like 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 leads in order for me to really show you how it works. It's going to be something that you guys are gonna have to perfect over time. I promise you, cold calling is still one of probably the most effective ways to get direct sales. And it's because you're calling direct to the client, as opposed to something on social media or somebody networking where there's all kinds of middlemen. You're cutting out the middleman the second you decide and you're comfortable to dial that phone. It takes time to develop, but I can train each one of you one-on-one to really get your game plan. You're not gonna call the same as Sally, Judy's not gonna call the same as Taylor. Chuck is gonna have a different game plan too. He might, be a little bit more reserved. And again, sometimes people like the reserve. Sometimes people like all these crazy, wild figures thrown at them about the stock market and the election and Donald Trump. That's a big one. I've gotten a lot of deals, and I'm not a Trump fan. But I have pretended that I am because most guys are Donald Trump supporters. And I'm like, yeah, make America great again. I'm gonna make your mortgage great again. It's a great line. And again, sometimes you have to spit out some bullshit. That's the way it goes. You're cold calling. So just don't be afraid to just kind of let loose and just kind of go with the flow with the call in order to make the sale. It's fun. It's exciting. Nothing feels better when I say the last thing. Oh, you know what? I actually need one more piece of information. Your date of birth? And your social? You know what it's like for somebody to give out their social security number over the phone to a stranger? It's like my heart's pounding. I'm like, gotcha. Boom. And it's great. And then, and again, it's a really good feeling. And I do it probably every single day. I cold call every day. I do an hour in the morning. I do an hour in the evening. Mortgages are a little bit different. It's actually a lot different, and that's why I have to really kind of get in here and one-on-one with you guys, and I'll cold call side by side, and I'll learn with you guys. But ultimately, after I do about 50 or 60 calls on each one of these, which I could do in one day, I'll really have a solid game plan down, and I'll be able to kind of really tweak everything for you guys. And if you don't want to do it here because you're a little embarrassed and you don't want Glenn to hear you, which is very common, don't laugh. A lot of people will not cold call where they work because they don't want their coworkers to hear them. They just feel uncomfortable. But after a couple of times and you're getting comfortable, you're going to want to come in here and show off. I know I do. I open my door. I have my own private office. I open my door as soon as I'm cold calling because I let everybody hear me. And they're like, wow, I can't believe that guy was throwing you all kinds of rebuttals. It sounded like, he was gonna hang up on you. And I'm like, no, I had it under control the entire time. Even though I didn't, and he could have hung up on me at any time, but it's not about showing your cards, it's about staying confident, staying with the call, answering the rebuttals, and hopefully closing the deal. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's not the only thing you should be doing, but if you don't have at least 5 active deals going right now, whether it's buyers and sellers, there's no reason you shouldn't be cold calling as much as you possibly can every single day. And if I told you guys, okay, and I'm gonna show you guys a funny way to get your average. So if you turn one of these sheets over, you just have a sheet of paper and you start calling. So let's just say you say, okay, I can do, and again, it's only gonna work if you work it. You have to discipline yourself, even if it's 2 days a week. Okay, 2 days a week, I can do 2 hours a day for the next 2 months. What you do is every dial you make, whether it's a call that hung up, whether it's, that went to voicemail, you make one little check mark. Make one little check mark for every call you make. So, until you get to 5, 4, and then you cross over. You do it in blocks of 5. Now, what do you do when you get a sale? You circle the one check mark, and you just keep doing it. So let's just say I made 5 calls, and on the 6th call, I got somebody that was interested. So I would circle that one, and then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I would circle the one. And you keep doing that. And the reason you do that is because you keep track of how many calls you made, and you will be able to keep track of, in between each sale, how many other calls you had to make in order to get to your next sale. So if you do it every day, or 2 days a week, every week for 60 days, this sheet should be pretty full with check marks and potential clients that win listings. So now you'll be able to count, okay, well, I called 57 people before I got to 1 sale. Then my next sale was 67 calls. And then to my next sale was 80 calls. And then my next sale was 75 calls. What you'll be able to do is average how many sales you got divided by how many calls you make. This will give you your average of how many calls you potentially need to make to get each sale. Now, what this will do is what most people don't do, which is what you should do, is say, okay, my average is 55 calls. Okay, so if my average is 55 calls to get to my next sale, what should I do? Should I make 55 calls, or should I make 200 calls in a day to get potentially 4 sales in each day that I'm calling? And the more you call, the shorter your averages will get. I assure you. I got to the point where I was viciously cold calling. I would let the phone ring 3 times, and then I would hang up. At 3 rings, hang up, 3 rings, hang up, 3 rings, hang up. And during peak hours, I would get a lot of people on the phone, and my pitch, 30 seconds, I have all your information, I've already hung up. This is a little bit different. You have to kind of baby them a little bit more. You hold their hand a little bit more. But mortgages, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get back to you in the next 24 hours with a quote. Did I miss any questions? No, if I did, you have my cell phone number, phone back anytime. Great having it again. I'm quick, in and out. But this obviously is gonna take a little bit longer. But again, the averaging system works very, very, very well. And I will make a deal with anybody here. Anybody here that does the averaging and commits to an actual schedule, which Glenn will have to keep track of unless you come to me and tell me, whoever does it for 60 days, I will take out for a nice steak dinner on the house. Because I want to see who's actually going to do it. And there'll be some sort of a gift involved too. So a little motivation for you guys to trust me and trust what I'm saying is accurate. There'll be a reward. And listen, if everybody does it, then we're going to go out we're going to have a big party. And there'll be gifts for everybody. So trust me, I know it works. Just don't get discouraged. And again, one-on-one training can happen here. I do a cold calling night at my office. The first one is going to be in the next 2 weeks, but we can do it by myself. You'll have to work with me on my schedule, or you can do it with the group. There'll be Remax, Keller Williams, Weicker, Coldwell Banker, and Pecora Realty there. So it's a great group of people. Nobody's going to steal your leads. Nobody's going to hear you over talking. It's not like that. It's a great group of pretty much mostly women. I would like to get some guys in there. If Chuck, you can make it happen. If you can make it happen, it would be great. I'd like to get some guys involved too. There's going to be light fare, probably some wine and some beer, and there's going to be a lottery. So bring a bunch of leads, and then I'm going to have a fishbowl. Whoever card gets pulled, I'm going to call their leads for that first hour. Then for the second hour, I'm going to do another drawing, and I'm going to call that person's leads. And I'm going to probably do that once a week to kind of see what the reception is, and then hopefully twice a week every week. And by summertime, whoever is a part of it, whoever does it here, I'm telling you, you'll have more business than you have right now. And it will get you very, very, very disciplined on the outside world too when you're talking to somebody because of how much practice you've had over the phone. That's another big thing. So it's a double-edged sword. You're getting deals over the phone, but you're also really sharpening your game for somebody face-to-face that could really be throwing you some curveballs. And the last thing you want to do is be face-to-face with somebody with that blank stare, like, I don't know, and you start stuttering. But that pretty much concludes it.